Hey Dave, it's Ed. I thought I'd take you for a tour here. I'm in my garage. It's a stinking mess. There's Dad's desk there, okay? And this is one of the pull-out pieces that got charred pretty badly. I don't know if you can see that or not. It got charred pretty badly in the fire. This side of the desk got burned up. And so I've got both of these out of the desk. All right, this is what held the top in place. You can see how bad the desk is. It's in pretty bad shape. But this is mahogany, and as you were a kid growing up, this desk was always sitting there. So I figured for your wedding I'd take some of this wood, got 2 pieces of this mahogany, and we'll walk over here. I'll excuse the mess. My garage is a mess. Okay, I got a little city garage. You got a big suburban garage, and I've got a couple pieces here from the desk, and this is the end where the knob was right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I got a couple pieces of mahogany here, and got my woodworking tools, got my planes and my chisels and stuff here. And I printed out some patterns that I designed myself. Okay, so I am going to make you a couple of spoons. What I'm going to do is some of this crap out of the way here. You can see how my shop is a damn mess. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I got somewhere here a can of spray adhesive that I'm going to glue these down on. So first thing I got to do though is I've got this little extra piece of wood here. I don't know if you can see that or not in profile. This little thin piece right here. I'm going to cut off split right off there pretty darn good. Okay, which makes me think I'd be able to split everything off there. So I'm gonna take that. I need to have this squared up so I can put it in the vise nice and square to make the spoon. So I'll take my bring that blade out a bit more, even a bit more. I want to get this nice and flat and square so it sits in the vise square. This is why I don't want any nails in there. There we go. It looks like that'll be pretty square there. That's a pretty piece of mahogany. You should have some pretty nice spoons when we get down here. If I do my job right, let's clean up this edge too while we're at it. Just to see what we're looking at and see which way the grain's going. Oh. If you ever want to get me in here, give me a good vise. A wood vise, not this damn. That I was not expecting. That's a gift to have a piece of wood split out like that. Yeah, I went a little bit further than I'd like, but that's all right. It's just going to be a spoon. So. Okay, so didn't need much more than that. All right. There we got our 2 pieces of wood all set to go. Good end. Got some good grain in it. That's got a booger in it. We don't want that in. You're going to put that there like that. And other things that I use all the time out here is this brush. Dad gave me this brush. It's an old horsehair brush he said he'd had for a long time. So it gets used out here every day. Hangs in its place of honor right there. I always think of Dad when I'm out here in the shop playing with wood, making wood chips. So spray some glue on there like that. Probably should have done it over the barrel, maybe glue all over the shop. So what this does is glues my pattern down, and then I can start to cut, which is a long and boring process. I said, you know what, I'm going to turn it around this way, like that. There we go. That will work just fine. Okay, so Stanley makes these little, called marking knives, and pull it out like that and it folds up. It's really a sharp razor blade. And they make them here in the US, they make them out of plastic. It's got an entirely different blade, but a blog that I watch online said this is the one to buy. I got this one from England, and I think it cost me a grand total of about $6. So I can trim up everything like that. It's real sharp. Now what I have to do is I have to trim the inside of the bowl out of here so I don't get all the paper and everything all over it, you know. When I chisel, I can just see my line. I can concentrate on the wood and not worry about whether I'm ripping the paper or not. Cut that out of there like that. And my pattern is complete then. So then I take this and just pull this off of there. Damn, that's sticky. Okay, so you can see that I've taken the pattern, stuck it onto the board. I'm going to stick the board in here so we can saw that out of here. Like I say, I like to do everything by hand. I do this with a coping saw. The coping saw I have here has the wrong blade in it. I'm going to put a coarser blade in there right now. Cuts on the push stroke, so I've got to get those two facing the right way. And then I take these like this. It's about the only thing the fat tummy comes in good for here. There we go. So I can take this and tighten this up. And then here's how we do it. Now I'm not going to cut the whole thing out because I need the square part down there to carve with. And put that in the vise. So you can see how that cuts. That cuts pretty darn good. Final shaping all comes with chisels and stuff. This cuts away the bulk of the wood and saves me a lot of chiseling. So, and the neat thing about a coping saw, you can turn it in any angle you want. Saws through this mahogany pretty good. Okay, so that's just an example there. Got a box over there for woods. So you see there? See, that's how I cut it, and just cut it along the side of the pattern. Alright, so I take my board, my piece of mahogany, and I put it in my vise here like this. And I clamp that up as tight as this vise will hold, and this vise is just getting ready to break here. So, then I get my gouge, my mallet. So this is a 35 millimeter number 7 gouge made by Hirsch over in Germany. I like these gouges a lot. They're a pretty good gouge. They hold an edge nice and long, and you just start right in, knocking the middle of the wood out of there. Okay. And well, this is cutting pretty nicely. Pretty soon we'll have a spoon here. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting out around my edges here. I don't know what you can see in that camera and can't see. Now, this is where you start a spoon anyway. Get some of that stuff out of there so I can see what I'm doing. What I want to do with this is really just get down to depth. Now, gouges like this only really cut well on the downhill stroke. So if I go down like this, it's going to cut on the downhill stroke, but as I start up, it's going to rip it out on the other side. So then I got to come in from the other side and meet in the middle. So there's the beginning of a spoon. So I can go here now and start to pare out the sides. The whole trick of this, of course, is to keep your chisels as sharp as you can. And once I get this gouged out enough to call it a spoon, I'm dripping in it, gonna make it swell. Get around the other side over here. There's a nice spoon. Okay. All right. Not too bad at all. You can't see, but I got a spoon carved out. I got just about maybe a little less than 1/8 of an inch in thickness there on the bottom. That'll make a nice deep spoon. We'll see what we can do with that. Then I can start sawing this down. Now I can probably even take this saw here and get some of this out. Now make my turn. Starting to be spoon shaped. Oh, I hope I got that on there. I can see my camera's pointing the wrong way. I don't know what you saw there, what you didn't see. I think the camera was pointing the wrong way. But I just used my coping saw here and cut that side off. Man, am I dripping wet now? Holy smokes. Back again. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. So what I did was I trimmed off the back of this with the coping saw, and then I took my spoke shave and smoothed it out a bit there. And you can see what hopefully I can see what I'm doing here in just a minute. And I took my pencil. Oh, I can't see because my Wi-Fi is not on. That's all right. I took my pencil. I'm assuming you can see this. And so let's get you right down over here like this. Okay. So I took my pencil and sketched the line on here very accurately, as you can see. Like that. That's going to come up to the spoon bowl. I'll probably even cut that in a little bit more here into that spoon bowl. But down here is a necessary part. So I then put that in the vise here. And take my coping saw, turn it around so it's facing the right direction. Getting this started is always a bear. The back side of the spoon is always the toughest to get started. That job started pretty good. New fresh blade. And then just I have to turn out the vise here. Now you can see now, the spoon's getting a shape to it. We'll put it back in the vise here and take the poke shave and see what we can do to make it into a spoon here. All those saw cuts out of there. Geez, now all I gotta do is the rest of it. This is difficult to do with one hand and hold the camera. Okay, so I think I'm gonna take this camera. Oh, look at that, there's a spot I can touch down. That's got to be a great view of the mess behind me. Okay, so take this down like this. I love making spoons, even when it's hot and sweaty. And you know, you can see a spoon pretty well with your eyes, but by God, can you ever see one nicely with your fingers? Ugh. Take that big lump off up there. Thin that out just a bit. We want it nice and elegant for my elegant brother and his new bride. Okay, so that's a pretty good start there. See there, look at that. A little thin there, a little thin, but it'll work. It'll work just fine. So now all I gotta do is do the rest of this part over here. You see what that's going on there? So we got a bowl. Need to take this, and now a good way to take that bowl off is with the smoke shave. Another good way to take that bowl off is with the chisel and the mallet, or just by hand. Knock that stuff off of there. Okay, after a while, I'm using the spoke shave here, try to hand hold this, and after a while it starts to get rounded and cut off a bit more of the wood with the saw, and it starts to get more and more round, and it's still a bit of the original flat finish. I never get all that off of there. And then I just got to take this and make it round. Now I'm going to try to set this over here, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm taking this and just trying to figure out where that bowl is underneath there. Pull my chips out of here from time to time. It's all buggered. Oop. Okay, so want to make that nice and round. You got to think like a spoon, I guess. I got a big chip in there, and I don't like it one bit. There we go. Got it out of there. There we go. All clean. Alright. Just make it nice and round. Well, there's a lot of people who carve with knives and chisels, and I like to do my final shaping with a spoke shave. Over on this side, the grain's going wrong. I have to be real careful over there. I'm going to split it out. Okay. Now somehow I got to turn it around and do the other way around. That's best being held down here so I can get a little bit of a run and not get my spoke shave into the metal of this vise here. So, let me try this. See, this grain here is going the wrong way around for me to. And my vise doesn't want to hold it without falling down. I don't want to clamp it too hard because then I'll damage the wood. There we go. Now we're going down. You always got to cut downhill. This downhill part in here is always difficult. This is the tightest bend in here. And you see that? Okay. So that's pretty good there. Yeah, it's starting to look like a spoon. By God, you could eat soup with that right now. There, I need to rig up my, I've got a special spoon vise that I made to hold this, and I'm not even sure where it is because my shop is a mess. I see it, and I will set it up and I'll be back in a moment. Alright, so I'm thinking maybe this will be of interest. This is a board I made. It's got a little notch back here for the spoon handle. It's got a rope here and a foot treadle on it. And that's my vise, you see there? Okay. So what I do with this is very technical. Is I take the damn thing and screw it right down to my bench top. Now, this is a bench that I made, I think back in 1989. And it was in our house out in Rehoboth. It was a bit bigger then, and I cut it down a bit. Still too damn big. But it has plywood top, and when the top gets bad, I just take the top and pull it out of there, get another piece of plywood, and replace the top. So what this allows me to do is take my spoon, slip my spoon up underneath the rope like that, put my foot down here on this treadle, and that holds the spoon down. That rope pulls it down, and I don't know if you can see that action or not. But this allows me to shape the spoon and the handle and whatever I need to shape. So right now, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on this part right in here. So we will get this handle shaped. Can you see that? Boy, this mahogany works nice, I'll tell you. Nothing like old mahogany. I wish I could get this every day. My goodness. I'd be making spoons, enjoying life, probably selling for thousands of dollars a piece, and be able to retire. Okay. So, you got a little rounded rasp here. I'm going to use that for this transition here, like this. Make a nice transition like that. Final shape on there. Now I've also got over here a little smoother file. See what you've actually done. The rasp really tears the fibers. And I hate using them. I'd much rather use an edge tool. But sometimes there's just sharp areas that you can't get into. That's not too bad. So, yeah, that's a pretty good transition. Just need to transition those sides now. I think what I'm going to do is try to smooth this. We've got a spot right here. Can you see this spot right here? It's where it's tearing. It's where we're going downhill and uphill. And I want to get that into a nice transition. See, it's tearing right there. I don't want it to tear. That's nice. That's nice. Okay. And then that is nice Oh, that worked out well. All right, where's my other spoke shave? Oh, maybe I can get it with that one. Take these edges. This one takes just the tiniest bite. Got the blade like super razor sharp, but I got it set on a real tiny bite because I just want it just to skim. See how tiny the shavings are there? I want it to just skim it like this. Okay, I'll use this one. Can it go that way? Does it want to go that way? It does not. There we go. Okay, now I can bring this out, start coming back this way. Okay, so what I can do with this, use scrapers instead of sandpaper sometimes. It cuts, it's got a little burr on the edge. It cuts the wood a lot like a plane, although in a micro environment. And that's starting to smooth it off and get all those spoke shave marks off of there. These are the same tools that have been used now for centuries. Somebody at work the other day was talking about, oh my God, you make a spoon. My thought on it is people probably been making spoons since the first fire. They learned how to boil something. They needed to slurp it up in the old stick and shape it. So it's not a mystery to make a spoon. Nobody does it anymore. What's really distressing is you can go down to Walmart and buy 3 of these for $5. Got little ridges in here that need to be taken out. Nothing like a good sharp chisel to do that, I'll tell you. Okay. Never cut toward your hand. Never cut one-handed, which is all things I'm doing right now. Okay, so just scraping those out a bit. Where is my... There it is. Oop. I love this gouge. Okay, well, that seems to be pretty close down to final shaping. What do we got here? Exactly the right tool for the job. That one's a little better. Alrighty, let's get some what do we got here? 150 paper. You can see I make a mess and I don't really care. Yeah, David, it looks like you're going to get a spoon after all. This little spoon vise is of my own design. I would imagine there have been similar things made throughout the history of spoons. I have no idea what sparked it. Maybe I saw something somewhere that was similar. It was a 10-minute design, 2 holes with a drill and a piece of string. All scrap wood. Allows me to work around the spoon pretty good and hold it nice and tight. Only because I got big heavy feet. Okay. It'd be nice that you have a set of spoons made out of Dad's old desk. Now, one of the things that you got to do with these spoons is use them. These are not made to sit on a shelf and be all sentimental over them. This piece of wood was meant to be used when Dad made the desk. he made it to be used, and it had its useful life, and got burned up in the fire. And that fire was in 1985. This is 2015, so the fire was 30 years ago. Is that right? 95? Yeah, 30 years ago. So this piece of wood's been waiting around all this time to become a spoon and be used again. I always figure that things are made to be used, and you can't sit on your laurels and not use them and hold them. Here's an old saw. Look at this saw here. Look at this saw here. I got this in a flea market the other day. This was made by a guy by the name of Anthony Hill. From what I can determine, he passed away about 1822 or somewhere around there. And this saw is probably made from the 18th century, 1780, 1790, something like that. And I took it and flattened it, and resharpened, recut the teeth, and the teeth. And Anthony Hill would be pleased to know that his dovetail saw is back in service. You know, works just fine. Okay, back to work, slacking off. Yeah. Okay, so for the past hour or so, I've been sanding. I've got down to pretty close to a 150. I'll set it here like this. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. Other and stuff. Okay, so we got some 150. Just now moving on to 220. This is the tedious part. I like to get the spoons really nice and smooth. And the inside of the bowl is the toughest part, because I don't ever carve them as good as I should. Sanding them out nice and smooth as I can get. And I'll do a 220 and go finer and finer and finer. And I got my clamp there, works pretty good. Exciting stuff. I'll take the 220 now. Go over the whole spoon. Just lightly. It doesn't need a whole lot because it's been smoothed down and smoothed down and smoothed down. Been over with the 100 and the 150. Getting pretty nice in here now. It's starting to get some shape in here now. Try to make it as graceful as I can. That feels pretty smooth. Don't want you to get splinters. Tammy get mad at me if you got splinters. You get mad at me if Tammy got splinters. How much pot stirring you do, or even how much salad eating you do. Smooth that around there on the back side. Okay, so that's pretty good. 220. So we go from the 220 to a 400. I don't have any 320. It should be 320, but we'll just go right straight to a 400. And I'll start smoothing that out pretty good now. She'll go from smooth to slick pretty good. So I'll take this like this. Pretty good. I know a lot of people will stop at like a 200 grip. I think for the spoons I like to get them smoother and smoother and smoother if I can. Now, what I'm going to do after this 400, I'll get this down. This is nice and smooth here. Pretty darn slick. The problem is, though, is this is going to be in and out of water. And all sorts of stuff. Now, what I need to do is whisker it. So, I'm going to take it when I get done here. I'll run some water on it. And then I'll make all the little fibers that have been broken and cut, make them stand up. Then I'll go over again with sandpaper again. And could chop them off of there. It'll make it smoother and smoother before I put any finish on it. What, I got water right here. Oh. Look at that color come out of there. That's going to be real pretty. Okay. Spray some water on there. Yeah, that's going to be very pretty. Now that water will make all the little fibers and stuff stand up. So we'll come back out here in an hour or so. It's pretty warm out. It'll dry in an hour or so. Well, let's let that dry and we'll sand it down again after a while. That's going to be pretty. Can you see that? I don't know if you can, what you can see or can't see there. Yeah, nice reddish color to it. Dad's old desk. Huh? Go from the living room to the kitchen. Okay, back again. So you see I changed my clothes, or maybe you can, maybe you can't. It's later, it's all dried off. I've gone over it with 400 sandpaper after it's whiskered. Got company coming over in a few minutes. Figured I'd just give it a couple more sandings before company shows up. Get some of those whiskers off there. Went over with 400. 600 I'm working on now. And then we'll get all the whiskers out of there and make it smooth as silk. Okay, the final part of the whiskering process and getting it clean. Once you get it down to about this far, see if I can do this with good clothes on. I'll probably get myself all messed up. That's in pretty good shape. Doesn't feel right there. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah, it looks better. Yeah. This is really beyond sanding. This is more into polishing now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a very thin coat of shellac. Now, shellac is a natural substance that I fell in love with when I was working with Dad. Dad always talked about shellac as a base for everything. And that was when I was a kid. And what I've discovered as I'm older, and I've tried every damn polyurethane and everything else that's out there, you use shellac as a base and it's just as good as you can possibly get. It's really good stuff. So it's I have since looked it up and found out what it is. It's the secretion of some bug over in Asia, and it's dissolvable in denatured alcohol. So you thin it down and it soaks well into the wood, and it's what they coat pills with. You can ingest it with no problem at all. As a matter of fact, we all do. Anybody takes a pill, ingest it, because that's what they coat pills with, is shellac. And so it soaks into the wood. It hardens up the surface of the wood, but it also makes the whiskers stand up. But because it hardens them up, you can then shave them off. Pretty darn good. So get this. Get a fresh piece here. There we go. Look at that. Well, that's looking good. Okay, now I've got somewhere here, I've got de-waxed shellac, which is the best kind of shellac. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this spoon now, take a little of this. Oh, I love the smell of shellac. Take a very, very technical, proper tool called a paper towel. Dip a corner of it in the shellac. Look at that. Look at that, what it does to that. Look at that. And that just makes it beautiful. That'll harden up the surface some and make the color come out. Look at that. That looks pretty damn nice. Just a nice thin coat. I like the color of that wood. That's coming out nicely. And when I get done with this, yeah, we're getting close to the finish here with the spoon. We're going to have the spoon done today, maybe. Alright. It dries in about 20 seconds. So we'll let it harden up really good and hard. Let it soak in and harden up. Get all the pores. Man, that is going to be a pretty spoon. That is going to be a pretty spoon. Who knew? I bet Dad never had a clue when he made that desk. someday we'll be making a spoon out of it. Okay, so set that aside there. Put this back on here. Rubber mallet. No. Okay, now I need denatured alcohol here. And more paper towels. Get some of this stuff off my fingers. It'll make me far less sticky. Okay, well, it's Sunday morning. Your spoon has dried up nicely. It feels rough and a bit fuzzy because it's been all whiskered. So let's see if I got, what have I got? It's 600. I think I'll go back to 400. Where's the 400? There's 400. I'll go back to 400 here. Take those whiskers off. This is pretty much just going to take it back down to bare wood. Just leaving the whiskers, leaving enough shellac into to harden that up there. So it's Sunday morning. When last you saw me, I was all cleaned up and everything. I was still cleaned up, but haven't shaved today. But our friends came over last night, and we went out to dinner and had a good evening. They stayed until about 10:30. I was going to come back out here and work, but I was just too tired. Decided to give it a rest because I don't want to screw things up at this stage. That feels pretty good. I think this is going to be a pretty nice spoon when it's done. Time will tell. It's always a treat to see them in their final stages. Each spoon has its own personality. I know you're probably thinking I'm being silly about all this, but I've made some that are more personable than others. It's clogging up with shellac. I think this one's going to turn out pretty darn nice. I like this mahogany a lot. The old growth mahogany. Today's mahogany is not nearly as nice as the old growth stuff, and this is probably from the cut in the 1950s. It's 50, 60 years old. Ugh. Okay. By golly, she feels smooth again. Alright, so now I can take it to 600. Where's my 600? There's 600. That'll smooth out any of the scratches of the 400. We'll get it down to good looking here in a minute. It doesn't take a lot. You just gotta get all the smaller scratches out with a finer grit at this stage. And the shellac that's on there cuts it pretty good. It keeps that surface nice and hard and cuts out the whiskers. Now, pay close attention to what I'm going to say now, because this is an important part. When you use this spoon the first few times, it may whisker up again because you're going to be dipping it into hot spaghetti sauce or something boiling or something. If you use it just for salads, I don't think you have much of a problem, but it'll go into the dishwasher. No, don't put them in the dishwasher. And just get washed in the sink. But it'll go in hot water, and it may whisker up. Use a very smooth Scotch-Brite pad or something and whisker it down, and then put some mineral oil on it or something. That'll do it. Nothing, don't ever put any wax or anything. You don't want to ingest anything. So there's 600, and then I got some 1000 grit here. Take this up. We'll get this into an automotive finish pretty shortly here. Well, that's really polishing it up now. And what this does is this just, ooh, smooth now, baby. Okay. The bowl nice and smooth around the lip of the bowl and bottom of the bowl. Now this part of the bowl up here is kind of an end grain, so we really want to polish that up because the end grain is just difficult. It's where that spoon rises up in the end of the grain. The grain's running this way. But when that rises up, you can see it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that or not, it's kind of speckled in there. But the Odie's oil will take care of that. That's 1000 grit. Okay. Get a fresh piece of 1000 and go into that bowl again. Okay, that looks pretty good. Feels pretty good. I think 1000 is all we need to go. We probably don't need to go to 2000 on this. It's pretty open grained. Okay, so now Odie's oil. Now this is the good stuff right here. I got this Odie's oil, then I got some Odie's dark butter. I think we'll start with the Odie's oil. You see it's thick like honey. The proper tool to put that on, I know that I showed you the paper towel on the other one. Proper tool to put Odie's oil on is just your fingers. And it just rubs in. And it just does wonderful things to the grain of the wood. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is just making it shine. And the fact that we polished up the wood with all those sandpapers makes it look just spectacular. And I have been using Odie's oil on most everything. It's really an amazing finish. Now that little bit that I had on my thumb will probably do the whole spoon. Although I'll probably use more. So what you do is you put it on, you let it sit for an hour or so. And you polish it off with a soft cloth. But by golly, look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Okay, and it's just a... Now this, you can see I'm down about 3/4 of an inch from when this was new. And right before Christmas, before Jason and Kate came out for a visit, I made a new headboard for a bed in the guest room out of cherry and teak, and I finished it with Odie's oil. I used probably a tablespoon of Odie's oil to finish an entire headboard, and this stuff is just amazing. It seals up the wood, it puts a nice finish on it. It's food safe, it's biologically safe, so you can put it on with your fingers. You wouldn't want to be doing this with varnishes or lacquers with your fingers. And I got this at a store called Woodcraft, and so you can see how much I'm putting on there. Just it's less than a pinhead. Okay, I just want to soak that into the end grain in the bowl here a lot. Get that soaking in there. So look at that, that came out pretty darn good. Now what I'll do is I'll mark this on the back with my signature and stuff. So I think we're just about ready to call that spoon done. I'll give it a final polish out with a piece of cloth. But that's pretty well done. I didn't pay a lot of attention to that very end up there, so we'll soak that in with some Odie's oil there. Actually, that feels a little rough right there. I'll wipe that off of there. Get me some 400 grit here. Oh, there's one little screw up right at the end, it seems like. That feels a lot better. 400. Take that right up. Oh, like that. There we go. I'll put some Odie's oil on there. Okay. That's a whole lot better. Okay. So I just like to take it, rub it for a while. And that warms it and smooths it and gets it into the wood. And makes for a beautiful spoon. That's a pretty nice spoon. This is a design I did myself. I do all my designs typically with pencil and paper first, just to see what they look like, and then I figure out how big my piece of wood is. And this is the size of wood that we started with, and that came out of there about like that. And so I don't know if you can see that or not. Can I move that up there a bit? I guess that came out of there about like that. So I print out my patterns. After I draw them, know what I want, and then I get my measurements on my piece of wood, and then I take them into the computer. Sit down. I have a program called Adobe Illustrator, which makes nice straight lines, and I'm able to make things symmetrical and do things better than I could do with a pencil. So take those and put a little bit more on there, just on the back side here. So that's where I got the pattern from. And this is I like this bowl shape. I like this bowl shape here. It's just it's big enough, and yet it's not too clumsy. It's kind of graceful. I like to try, in my view, you might think they're really clumsy, but in my view, they're kind of graceful. And I used a very, very similar bowl design. I don't like that right there either. Did a very similar bowl design when I did a spoon set for Jason and Kate at Christmas time. That's not right there. I'm going to go back in there and reattack that one. And this is a variation of that design. That's better. Got a little bit of whisker standing up in there or something yet. There we go. That's better. That's why you spend some time with it. So this is number 1 finished. Now I'll take my other pattern, it's laying over there somewhere, glue it down on that board, start in on the next one. And I'm guessing it's Sunday. Yesterday was Saturday. It's the weekend before the 4th of July. Nothing like procrastinating until the last minute. But the idea just came to me. I was going to make these spoons, but the idea just came to me to use Dad's desk. So there we go. Move that aside. Look at that. We got a spoon. and Dave. I hope you guys have a great wedding day. But more than that, I hope you have a long and happy life after that wedding day. And use these spoons to stir the pot every now and again. So, happy wedding, happy marriage, and we'll talk to you soon. More than likely, we'll talk to you on or around that date. Take care.